If you're watching this video, I'm going to talk about Hedera. Maybe you already own it and you're not feeling that great about the price. Maybe you're thinking about dollar cost averaging in. Maybe you haven't bought it and you're thinking of buying it and you might buy it. Well, if you might dollar cost average in or you're thinking of buying it, here's what's going to happen about 8 to 10 months from now. Because see, I bought this around 8 cents, I think is my average, and it's now at 4 cents. So if you were to buy it now, you'd buy it at literally half the price I've got it at. So here's how this would play out about hopefully 8 to 10 months from now. I'll say, hey, guess what? I made $1 million on Hedera. And you'll be like, oh, that's really good. I made 2 million. And then I'll be like, shut up. I'm just kidding. Or I might say, hey, you like my Lexus? And you'll be like, oh yeah, that's really nice. I got one for my mom. Oh, and you like my Ferrari? And then I'll say, shut up. I'm terrible at timing markets. But the reason I wanted to put this video out is because it is November 4th, Monday, and the price is 4 cents. And I can't believe it. This right here is an hourly chart. I'm going to go into all kinds of Hedera stuff. I'm going to run through it really fast. I'm going to go over 5 videos that I put out just in October about projects so you can understand if you're thinking about getting rid of it or selling it. I should say, big dumb animal, don't do what I do, informational purposes only. I'm not getting rid of mine. And if you're not in it, you might want to get in it. Okay, here's a daily chart. I like to look at the crosses of the 100 and the 200 day for buys and sells. It's usually a lagging indicator, but it gives you a general idea. If you look here, this bottom blue line is the low. Oh, is it the all-time low? No. It's the low back to 2023. It was the lowest in 2022. It goes back to 2021 to be lower. But in 2023, this is that blue line. It hasn't come down quite to hit it. So we all know what the market's doing. We all know about the bull run. We all know about more liquidity. And hopefully this will start taking off by the end of the year. Altcoins, etc. I'm not going to get into all that. Point is, I believe 4 cents is an amazing price. Too late. I already dumped in a ton of cash. So I don't have a ton more that would actually bring my price down anywhere near 4 cents. I can't DCA. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I can DCA. It's just not going to make a dent. Anyway, so let's get into all the different Hedera things over the last month. I'm going to put up an image of the thumbnail of each of the videos, and I'll put a link down below to each of the videos if you want to go through them. There's 7. I'm going to go over 5. The first video shows and talks about, it says there's a layer 2 on Hedera. But in that video, we discuss Hedera projects being built on Hedera in RWA, real world assets, in gaming, in SocialFi, in interoperability, and then a layer 2. So in RWA, it was diamonds and a company that is tokenizing diamonds. Great. In gaming, it was Earthlands, which has been around for a while, but they're coming out with their new version Q4, so it should be soon. Then SocialFi, it was Plazas. In interoperability, they integrated with layer 0 for cross-chain messaging. And then the layer 2 essentially was extending the functionality of Hedera. It is called Up. And it was built by the company that created the karate app and the karate atmosphere. I mean, the people actually fight in real time, and you've got the ability to do some things with the app in terms of who you want to fight and whatnot. And you use the karate tokens, but they took their technology and said, hey, we think this basic functionality can be provided to others to use. It's kind of like if you ever programmed in C a long time ago, and for the first time you saw this thing called libraries, and you're like, what's a library? It's a library of a bunch of functions already made, and you could just include the file, and now you could access what was in each one of those libraries. Most people are like, what are you talking about? Yeah, there was a time when you had to write all your own stuff, and then you could include a library. Anyway, so they said, look, we've got this basic functionality. Why don't we license this out and give it to other people to use? So they created it. It's called Up, and they also it's an open source. They call it their HStack open source library. So essentially all of their functionality, it's open source. It's free to use. So other people can build even faster on the Hedera network. Okay. That was the first video. The second video, take a look at this thumbnail here. It was 7, I called it 7 amazing HBAR projects, Hedera projects. It was the karate one. It goes into that one. I think it was it Tune FM, Saucer Swap, Stater Labs, Earthlings, Red Swan, which is real estate. I think that one is really cool. You've seen that one probably a lot. And then the Hash Pack. which is essentially the Hedera wallet. That, if you want to get into all of those different projects, I'm just pointing out what's being built and what's going on, because we all want to know that the layer one that we're purchasing is going to do well, at least has momentum. Then there was one recently talking about a digital assets will. It was done with, I think it was Dubai, one of their finance groups, where they created the ability, using Hedera Hashgraph, to digitize your will. You might think big deal. Well, estate planning is a big deal. The majority of the US wealth, and probably other countries, is held by older generations. When they pass away, they got to pass it down. And the government says, whoa, before you give that to them, let us take a big chunk of it. So there are ways in which you can try to not pay all that estate tax. And it can take a lot of time to go through the court system. So people come up with things like trusts to deal with it instead of just wills, or what if you have no will and has to go through probate? It can be a mess. Well, this makes it even more efficient and faster because you're able to just transfer to, let's say, your heirs' wallets, your assets, and you can transfer HBAR, the actual cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others, and I'm sure they'll add more, and tokens using Hedera that represent assets. So I'm sure eventually we'll have a token that represents the title to our car. And then we can just buy and sell tokens. And they're going to be doing it with real estate and art and all kinds. Any asset that has value, at some point, it'll be able to be tokenized, or at least the ownership or title to it can then transfer via a token. Anyway, that was a big one. I think that's a big deal. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that they start adopting in pretty much every country. Okay, the next one, two more, was Mondelēz. Now, I thought this was very interesting. It's a $90 billion company. It's a company that is on the Hedera Governing Council, which we'll talk about in a second. They have all kinds of brands. Chips Ahoy, Halls, Oreo, Ritz, Wheat Thins, Sour Patch, you name it. But it's a $90 billion company. The amount of revenue they do is substantial. And they're selling things that don't cost all that much. So they're doing a lot of transactions. They chose a provider called SKUX, which is built on Hedera, to do the tracking. And they did a proof of concept with them. They seem to be very happy with it. I'm assuming they're probably going to roll out. And they did it with respect to tracking sales and couponing and redeeming, such that they said it was much faster. And they got their data back faster and they got more information. And the gentleman was the global leader of digital strategy and blockchain for the company, Mondelēz. In that video, you can see where he talks about what they did and how it was beneficial. That's a big deal because that's yet another one choosing Hedera Hashgraph. Okay. And it's a large company and they do a lot of transactions. And let's talk about the next video because it'll explain why they chose them. All right. The next video I did a Hedera review, but I focused on 4 things. When you look at all the layer ones, you say, okay, what are they really doing? Well, generically, they all want to have, it'll be on the blockchain. It's secure. They want it to be the most secure of all the blockchains. They want it to be the faster of all the blockchains. They want it to scale better than all the blockchains. Then some of them decide to say, you know what? Maybe we should start focusing, because there's so many just generic layer ones, on things like, well, we're the layer one for AI, or we're the layer one for gaming, or whatever it may be. And so all of those blockchains are kind of competing with respect to the same feature set. Can it be fast? Can it be secure? Can it scale? Okay. Hedera Hashgraph, as you probably know, is not a blockchain. It's a hash graph. It was created by who's currently the co-founder and the CTO of the Hedera Foundation, Lehman Baird, I believe. And it was patented. And then they bought it and they open sourced it so anyone can use it now. But the individual who's the CTO is the one who actually created it, invented it, subsequently patented it, and then open source licensed it. So that's one thing. The creator of the hash graph is the CTO of the company. It's also a particular type of hash graph because it solves 2 issues that the original hash graph had, which was, I believe it was security and the ability to scale high transactions. And they call it a ABFT, an asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance. So it's a type of hash graph that solves some issues of the past. All right. Then they have 2 more things. They have a governing council of 39 companies. Dell, Google, Hitachi, IBM, LG, Mondelēz to govern upgrades and changes and things like that for Hedera. And I'm sure many of them are interested in using it. Why would they, otherwise would they even be on the governing council? Fourth thing about it. So not only can it do an unbelievable amount of transactions, but they came up with a pricing model, which is brilliant. So you do something in your wallet and you pay for it, let's say with Ethereum. And it can vary the price depending upon time of day and traffic and that sort of thing. But you're giving a specific amount, let's say, of Ethereum. And that amount of Ethereum has a dollar value. So if you're in US dollar or euro or whatever it is, you're going to look at it and say, oh, okay, well, it's going to cost me $22 to do this certain thing. Okay. A month later, Ethereum's gone up in value. You want to do the same thing and, oh, it's $44. And then Ethereum continues to go up and it's $140. Okay. You get the idea. You're paying in Ethereum. What they said with Hedera and what they do is they made their transaction costs a fixed dollar amount. So if you're paying 0.00001 cent per transaction, that's always what you're paying. And if Hedera, which it does, HBAR goes up and down in price, you just pay less if it goes up in price or more if it goes down in price in terms of HBAR. So you're always paying a dollar amount that's exactly the same. That is, in my mind, a huge deal when dealing with companies that have to do an astronomical amount of transactions. They have to be able to control their costs. And if your layer one is unable to control costs, and you're basically telling them you have no idea what it's going to cost for them to utilize your layer one on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter basis of a public company, they're going to say, we're not using you. That's just a full stop. Nope. Done. Everybody up. Put your coffee cups down. Get out. No, thank you. So in this case, that's a big deal. There's two more videos I've got down below. It was about the Hedera Governing Council and Bank Social, which I think is just an interesting one. Anyway, that's it. I strongly believe, and if I could, I would buy a ton more of Hedera at 4 cents. I'm putting out this video tonight because I don't see it going much lower. Maybe it will. Who knows? It could go substantially lower. It could go to 0 for all I know. But I'm in it. I was in it to hopefully get a 10x at 80 cents. If you get it at 4 cents and it goes to 80 cents, you're going to 20x. Lucky you. Anyway, thanks for watching. As I always say, have a great day, even though you're going to make like 20 times more or twice as much as me. Fine, whatever. Hope we all make generational wealth together with crypto. And I guess your home will be twice as big as mine. Have a great day.